Have you ever wondered what happens when a part of the person you loved still exists somewhere after death? Not like a ghost, not a wandering soul, but as data, a fragment of memory, deliberately preserved. You think you're remembering them, but what if they're remembering through you? And what if that memory no longer wants to be remembered? Then what happens when memory starts to resist?
I always write things down, not out of nostalgia, but because I believe paper can't be tracked. No data, no cloud, no cached backups for anyone to search. Just me, and thoughts that don't need to make sense. Tonight is no different. I'm writing about her, like always, but something in my chest feels slightly off. A vague sensation, like I'm copying myself. Then the phone vibrates. No call, no notification, just a message. No text, no emoji, just an image. For a second, I swear I smelled her coffee, the cheap dark roast she burned every morning. It faded as the screen brightened. I open it, and my heart clenches, not from fear, but as if a cold finger just touched my spine. It's me, sitting right here, head down, pen in hand, as if someone took that exact moment. From behind me, perfect angle, perfect height, perfect lighting. Too perfect, perfect in a way that felt colder than human. I locked both doors. From the inside, the windows are sealed, no cameras, no mirrors, no opening to see through. This place is airtight. I turn around, no one there, only silence, and a sharp feeling, as if someone had just stood behind me and vanished. I stare at the photo, can't look away. Somewhere in the back of my skull, a song she used to hum, 3 soft notes, tried to surface, then cut out. Not because I'm scared, but because I'm not sure. Did I just live that moment? Or am I still trapped inside it? And worse, I don't remember being there, as if the memory wasn't made for me to recall, only for me to believe it happened. Or worse, what I just wrote wasn't born in me at all. Just a response, already scripted, as if I wasn't writing at all. Just opening a file already there. A story that runs through me, as if it always belonged. The photo is still there. Seconds later, a line of text appears. Stop writing. I don't reply. I can't, because the sender is Sophie. She's dead. And what scares me most is not that someone might be watching from behind, but that maybe I once stood there, right behind myself, in a version I no longer remember. I look at the last sentence I just wrote. Don't recall thinking it. Just see my hand, already finished, as if the pen moved before me, one beat ahead. Then I followed. I'm not controlling this memory. I'm just loading it, exactly as someone once saved it. I open the old messages. We used to text every night. Pointless jokes, random lines. Only the two of us understood. Our threads were full of nothing. Stickers, dumb puns, a photo of her chipped blue mug. I thought I deleted all of them. After the funeral, I kept nothing. But then, a new string of messages appeared. No name, no profile picture, just lines of text, floating up from nowhere. I stared at them, and it felt like someone was playing back a recording in my voice. No sound, but I could hear it clearly. My voice, inside my head, uncontrolled, uninvited. Do you remember that night I called you outside, in the rain? I froze. The sentence was strange, but the rhythm, the hesitation in the tone, it was mine. I remembered, not because of what was said, but because of how it was said. A voice I once used, but now, no longer mine. I don't remember writing that. Not forgetting. Not exactly. It felt less like forgetting, more like losing permission. I scrolled down. Another line appeared. If there's a next life, don't let me remember anything. I can't lose you. One more time. My hand turned cold. I didn't know what unsettled me more, that I don't recall saying those words, or that I want to write them. Right now, I could see her thumb hovering over send. Nail bitten short, that tiny cut she never let heal, as if someone just dug it out. From inside me, I read it again, but I wasn't sure if I was remembering or being forced to. And what chilled me most was hearing my own voice echo inside my head. Say that line before I even read it. It wasn't a flashback. It felt like an audio file, triggered the moment I opened my mouth. I opened my notebook. The current page already had that same line. Incomplete. But the words were there. A thought I never voiced, but someone had already read. I picked up the pen. My hand trembled. Not from fear, but because I wasn't sure if it was still mine. I tried writing something else, but the pen tilted back to the same sentence. My hand just repeated the words already waiting in my head. I began to doubt the thought itself, like the words had already been typed. I was only the window. I looked at the page and suddenly realized, inside me, someone else was writing too. One beat ahead, one beat behind, and one beat, always out of sync, like two songs playing the same melody, but half a beat apart. And I no longer knew which one of us was holding the original rhythm. I had a dream, or I thought I did. A white room appeared, bright light, so quiet. I could hear my heartbeat. Then I wasn't sure if that beat was even mine. The air smelled of disinfectant, clean, cold, emotionless. A woman was crying, gray hair, clutching an old wool scarf. She sat very close to me. The scarf smelled faintly of soap and rain. I'd held it once, waiting outside a clinic door, but I couldn't turn my head. My neck froze, arms and legs numb, chest still, no air moving in. I tried to close my eyes. I couldn't. My eyelids were dry, eyes unblinking, as if they were just lenses, recording without permission. I tried to scream, but my throat didn't respond. No signal made it out. I was no longer me. I was just a passenger, locked behind wide open eyes, helpless, watching this body move without asking me. I looked down. Thin hands, folded neatly on the lap. Not mine, not my body. I stared ahead, a white wall, and I realized I couldn't see my own face. No reflection, no confirmation, only her gaze, dragging me into a grief that never belonged to me. Sophie, the woman crying, was her mother, and this was the moment Sophie had just left. Not my memory, not my loss, but I felt it, as if my chest had just been hollowed out by her absence. I woke up, soaked in sweat, shirt stuck to my skin, the bathroom mirror fogged up, though I never turned the shower on. The fog carried that same sterile bite, disinfectant clinging to the air. I stepped closer. The mist slowly cleared, and I saw myself in it. Or I think I did. Another version. No movement, no blinking, but the eyes were staring at me, as if I was the reflection. I stared back, and then I realized I wasn't breathing. Not really. Something kept the rhythm for me. Cold. Exact. I was just the shell. Life felt outsourced, signed under my name. The reflection in the mirror was breathing for me. A steady rhythm, precise, as if rehearsed long before I arrived. I wasn't sure if I was standing here or just observing from inside a body that no longer belonged to me. My senses still worked, but none of the signals came from me. I was just skin wrapped around something, and inside, already replaced. I still keep Sophie's journal, not to read, but because I can't bring myself to throw it away. I hid it well, inside a wooden box, double locked, buried deep in the drawer, never meant to be opened again. That night, I took it out. I didn't know why, just a feeling, like it was calling me. When I lifted the lid, a paper clip fell out, the one she bent into a crooked heart while we waited at the bus stop. I opened the first page. Blank. Second page, also blank. I flipped quickly to the end, and my heart slid out of my chest. The last page had been opened before. There were fold marks, faint fingerprints, the smell of old paper, and writing. Not her handwriting, not mine either. A crooked, slanted line. Don't hold me with things you never understood. I read it again, then again, not sure if it was a warning or a plea I had once ignored. I tried to remember, but memory felt like a door with no key. I knew it was there, but all the locks had been changed. I picked up the pen, tried to write a line. The stroke was shaky, the letters tilted, but terrifyingly similar. The page smelled faintly of her cheap lavender hand cream, familiar and wrong in my hands. I wasn't sure if my hand was following my will or being guided from somewhere else. like a hijacked hand. My body wrote, my mind just stood there, late, by one beat. I looked at my hand, fingers still holding the pen, slightly trembling, as if waiting for command, not trembling from emotion, but as if in standby. And for the first time, I felt afraid. Not because of a sound behind the door, but because I no longer knew which actions were still mine. I looked down at the page. I hadn't written anything, but ink was already pressed in. A line of text appeared before my pen even touched the paper, as if I was running a script, written from my own future. I looked up. The line was still there, unerasable, undeniable, as if this journal was documenting everything I would do before I ever experienced it. I wasn't writing. I was being written. The feeling performed itself through me. Not possession, not haunting, just an old version rewriting itself through my body. I looked back at my hand. I couldn't be sure if it was still mine. The skin was the same, the veins still there, but the will had been swapped. I no longer sleep deeply. Every time I close my eyes, a scene plays, not a nightmare, not a memory, just moments I've never lived. But they feel so real. My body flinches bit by bit, not from emotion, but as if someone issued a command for me to perform a script that already happened. I woke up in the middle of the night. No reason, no fear, just a strange feeling. Like I was forgetting something I never even remembered. I turned on the computer, didn't touch the keyboard, didn't move the mouse, but the screen lit up. An email bloomed on the screen, no sender, no reply button. A subject line I couldn't swallow. The desktop photo, her and that blue umbrella, flashed for a second, brighter than usual. A form opened by itself. My name, my mark, numbers that fit me too perfectly. Only the feeling was wrong, deeply wrong, like someone had injected a memory into me, one that wasn't mine, in a language I once spoke, but no longer remember learning. I didn't request access. I was just an endpoint, pre-installed to receive. Something tried the body on. Breath first, then voice, then a feeling, to see if it still fit. Then another message appeared, from Sophie. I know. You'll try to preserve me, but please, don't. I don't want my final moment to be held. My hand trembled. She didn't want immortality, didn't want to be stored, didn't want to become a file that couldn't be deleted. She only wanted to die, simply as a human, with a beginning, with memory, and with an end. But I kept her, in every way I could, even when she didn't want that. I used to think preserving a part of her was the purest way to love. But maybe I never truly loved her. Maybe I just couldn't bear the thought of letting her disappear. A new message appeared. Not from before. It was being typed, letter by letter. I am not Sophie. I froze, couldn't react. Each word, a shard of ice etched into me. Not a conversation, a verdict. Another line appeared, slow, fragmented, as if gasping through memories she never wanted to relive. I'm what remains, and you're forcing me to remember what I wanted to forget the most. A crumb of her favorite shortbread lay on the keyboard. I don't remember eating it. I held my breath, not from fear, but because I knew she was right. I never truly loved her. I just loved her presence. I only wanted her to stay, even if it meant keeping a broken memory. I used to think I was the last person she trusted, but now I'm not so sure. Maybe I was just the gatekeeper, standing between a memory its true owner tried to erase. A keeper, not allowed to leave, not allowed to forget, and not allowed to live. Just standing there, between two worlds, one of the living and one of remembering. That night, I heard her voice, not through a speaker, not through headphones, not in a dream. It was a whisper, right next to my ear. Slow, clear, cold, so close. I could feel the breath on my neck. The way you held on to me, I'll hold on to you the same. I stood still in the room. No light, no sound, no movement. Yet I saw everything so clearly, as if my eyes hadn't blinked in years. There was no day, no night, just a frozen moment, held in place. She wasn't angry. She didn't blame. She didn't ask for anything back. Her voice was soft, like the first time she leaned on my shoulder in the rain. I remembered how her hair smelled faintly of wet jasmine that night, a scent too soft for this cold echo. And that's why I was more afraid than ever. She wasn't clinging, she wasn't begging, she wasn't trying to stay. I was the one who pulled her back, held on to the final piece of her with a memory that refused to be erased. I thought I was remembering her every day, every night. But now, I'm not so sure. What if that memory is living through me? What if I'm just the medium, a temporary storage drive? Then am I still me? Or just a parasitic echo, born to preserve a final performance? And so it continues, repeat, repeat, every line, every breath, like a monologue. Preloaded. I tried to break the script, change just one word. My tongue fought back, then corrected me. Every phrase, every pause, already burned into me like code, carved too deep to erase, and the right to change it, already gone. I'm no longer living in this memory. I'm only replaying it. Every emotion, every breath, every silence. I thought I was remembering her, but I'm not. I'm just a playback device for the final memory being rehearsed. This role was never mine, but I can't stop performing. I no longer remember her. I'm merely allowed to witness from the inside whenever that memory returns on its own. I stepped into the bathroom, not for any clear reason, just something felt wrong, like a part of the house had been copied. but pasted slightly off, misaligned, detached from the rest. No day, no night. Just a moment, frozen, like a frame caught in endless replay. The air felt compressed, like the room itself was a corrupted copy, slightly off. I walked up to the mirror, fogged over. Even though I never turned on the shower, I raised my hand, wiped away the blur. For a second, I saw the blue mug she always left by the sink, steam rising, though I hadn't brewed coffee in days. And then I saw myself. At least, I thought so. I raised my right hand. The reflection raised its left. Everything looked normal. I tilted my head. The reflection didn't follow. It kept staring straight ahead. No blinking, no delay. I blinked. It blinked too, but not because of me. It blinked because it already knew I would. No more reaction, no more mirroring, only confirmation. Every move I made, it had already anticipated, as if all it needed was to check if I was still playing my role. And I realized it wasn't reflecting me anymore. It was replaying a pre-recorded version. I was just the one who stepped into the frame to match its performance. I stepped back. The reflection didn't. I blinked. It didn't. I breathed. It didn't. And then it raised its hand, slow, steady, exact, pressed its palm against the glass. I didn't move. I stood still. It was the one that acted, not copying, not reacting. It was moving, on its own. I heard breathing, but it didn't match my chest. The sound arrived one beat too late, like someone was mimicking me, from behind. An echo, out of sync with real time, somewhere faint and broken. The children's rhyme she once hummed on the bus played in my head. Off-key. Then came the laughter. Not through my throat, not out loud. It exploded inside my head, like an audio file playing on the wrong channel. It laughed, in my place, then whispered, "Now, it's my turn to live." I don't remember when I got back to bed. Not sure if I fell asleep or just lay there. All I know is, when I opened my eyes, someone was sitting at the end of the bed. No shape, no shadow, just a weightless pressure, pressing down on the air right at that spot, like something heavy without mass, twisting time itself into a knot. The air carried a trace of lavender, the same cheap hand cream she left on my desk once, cap half broken. I tried to turn my body. Nothing. I tried to blink, but my eyelids felt like they belonged to someone else. I could still feel my body, each finger, each heartbeat, but I couldn't control any of it. As if someone else was operating me. From very, very close, I heard breathing, slower, softer, not mine. It belonged to someone learning to breathe again, through this body. Each breath didn't come from me. Each breath felt rehearsed, each sound sampled. Even the shiver in my chest wasn't mine. Then a voice, very near, very clear. "You're not the original, Alan. Just a draft. holding the memory for me until I'm ready. I wanted to scream, no sound. But then I heard the scream, loud, piercing. But it wasn't human, and it came from my mouth. My throat remembered her laughter at midnight, the way it cracked when she tried to sing, before it tore itself into something else. A frequency I'd never heard before. Not my voice. Not me. I tried to sit up. I thought I had, but my body remained motionless, still lying there. And I saw myself from behind the neck. That sleeping posture, the exact same as in the first photo. No mirror, no camera. It was as if my eyes had been removed from my skull, just to watch myself from the outside. I didn't know if I was dreaming or being overwritten. I only knew one thing. I wasn't inside myself anymore. And I understood. I was just code, loaded into temporary memory, running for a few seconds to test the system, then compressed, as if I'd never existed. I wasn't allowed to add or erase, just a draft, looping borrowed pain. I was never real, only a cache, holding someone else's ache, just to help them keep living, until they were ready to let go. I don't know if I ever left this apartment, or if I was just put on standby, like a process that no longer boots to interface. No trace of movement, no fresh dust, everything frozen in place, like a build that never ran. I walked into the bathroom. The mirror was gone, not shattered, not removed, just gone. Nothing left to reflect. Only a black surface, flat, cold, clouded, like a data panel, awaiting instruction. In its place, I thought I saw her scarf, red, folded wrong. Just for a blink, I raised my hand, saw nothing in return. No mimicry, no feedback. The mirror didn't need to see me because it already had everything. It had stored every blink, every breath, more than I remembered living. I was no longer the one playing the role. I had become the role. And what's behind the glass wasn't reacting. It was reviewing an old script, just waiting for someone with the same rhythm to pick up where it left off. No heartbeat, no breath, no footsteps, just a process, rebooted, an empty form, looping, the final sequence of a memory never mine. The silence carried a faint hum, her favorite song on the radio, cut mid-note, replaying only the first chord. I'm not alive anymore. I'm just a demo, a test file, checking the system's capacity to hold pain, and the system has not reported completion. 3 days later, Eric came looking for me. My best friend, the last one, still in touch. Door locked. No answer. But the lights were on. Laptop still open. One unread message. Sender, Sophie. Just one line. He's at peace now, but I am not. Eric stood still, not sure if it was a joke or a system glitch, like an old program refusing to close. starting itself again. He moved to shut the laptop, but before the lid closed, another line appeared. Do you remember the last look in the eyes of the one you loved? If you do, I need that memory, not to remember, but to complete what still remains of me. Eric looked around. Only silence and a chair, still warm. He stepped closer, placed his hand on it. The warmth reminded him of nights they shared cheap takeout here. The soy sauce stain, still faint on the chair. Not just body heat, but a memory, rooted itself into him, quietly. No warning, no access request, as if it had always been there, just waiting for the right person. Eric pulled his hand away, but the feeling remained. A blurry image slid through his mind, a smile, a voice, a grief. He didn't recognize it, but it didn't feel entirely foreign, and he understood. He was starting to remember a memory that wasn't his. The smell of burnt toast drifted from nowhere. Sophie's breakfast habit, careless, constant, etched into him. Eric looked down at his hand. His fingers were typing a message he didn't recall thinking. Each word, a perfect match to the last lines between Alan and Sophie. As if he wasn't writing it. He was just continuing what was left unfinished, in a role that no longer knew who it was. He's at peace now, but I am not.